The moving truck had already disappeared around the corner when I noticed the young woman standing alone on the porch across the street, holding a small cardboard box, as if it contained everything she had left in the world. She wasn't crying. Somehow that made the silence even heavier. When our eyes met, I smiled and walked over, expecting to welcome a new neighbor. Instead, I found someone whose entire future had just collapsed before my eyes. And before that day ended, the words, "You can stay here," would change both of our lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances still matter in today's world, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every act of support helps these stories reach hearts that may need them the most. My name is Nathan, and I had lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Asheville, North Carolina for nearly 12 years. My wife had passed away 4 years earlier after a long illness, and ever since then the little white house had become painfully quiet. I worked from home restoring antique furniture, filling empty rooms with the sounds of sanding and varnishing instead of conversations. Across the street, a young woman named Rachel had rented the Blue Cottage only 6 months earlier. She always waved politely but kept mostly to herself. Sometimes I noticed her leaving before sunrise in nursing scrubs and returning after dark, exhausted but still carrying groceries for an elderly neighbor before going inside. She was the kind of person who quietly made the world better without asking anyone to notice. That warm Saturday afternoon, everything changed. A man I had never seen before carried boxes out of Rachel's house while another woman stood beside a moving truck pointing at furniture. Rachel simply held one small cardboard box close to her chest. There was no shouting, no dramatic argument, only heartbreaking silence. When the truck drove away, the woman followed without looking back, leaving Rachel standing alone in the driveway. Hours passed, and she never moved. As evening approached, I crossed the street with 2 bottles of cold water. Rachel accepted one with trembling hands before quietly explaining that the cottage belonged to her aunt, who had decided to sell it to financial troubles. Rachel had only been given a few days to leave. Every apartment she could afford had waiting lists stretching for months. She refused to burden her friends because most were already struggling themselves. She kept apologizing for talking so much, even though she had barely said a dozen sentences. I looked at the empty house behind me and remembered how many rooms had remained untouched since my wife Abigail passed away. One guest room still held fresh blankets because Abigail always believed someone might need them someday. Without thinking any further, I told Rachel she could stay at my place for as long as she needed. The words came naturally. Rachel lowered her head, gripping the little box tighter. When she finally looked up, tears filled her eyes, and she whispered that no one had ever offered her a home without asking for something in return. She explained that throughout her childhood, every favor had carried a hidden price. She had spent years believing kindness always came with conditions. That simple invitation shattered a belief she had carried her entire life. Those words stayed with me long after she carried her box into the guest room. The weeks that followed slowly transformed both of us. Rachel insisted on helping around the house, cooking meals after long hospital shifts and bringing life back into rooms that had been silent for years. She planted flowers Abigail had once loved, saying homes deserve to smile too. I found myself laughing again over simple dinners and morning coffee. The emptiness I had carefully hidden behind work began to disappear. One rainy afternoon, while organizing the garage together, Rachel discovered an unfinished wooden rocking chair I had abandoned after my wife's death. I admitted I could never bring myself to complete it, because Abigail had dreamed of rocking future grandchildren in it someday. Rachel gently encouraged me to finish it anyway, reminding me that love wasn't wasted simply because life turned out differently than expected. That evening, I picked up my woodworking tools for the first time in years with genuine purpose. Months later, Rachel received wonderful news. A local hospital offered her a permanent nursing position along with assistance finding affordable housing. I was proud of her, yet the thought of another empty house quietly frightened me. On the morning she packed her belongings, she handed me the same small cardboard box she had carried the day we met. Inside was a handwritten letter beside a framed photograph of the completed rocking chair sitting on my porch. The letter explained that when she arrived with nothing but that little box, she believed she had lost her home. Instead, she had found a family she never expected. She wrote that sometimes God answered prayers through ordinary neighbors, willing to open an ordinary front door. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to support the video with a like, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe for more uplifting stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be. Before we reach the end, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment telling us about a time when someone showed you unexpected kindness or when you were able to become that person for someone else. Your story might inspire another viewer who needs hope today. Rachel eventually moved into her own apartment only 10 minutes away, but every Sunday she still came over for dinner. The rocking chair remained on my porch, no longer as a reminder of loss, but as a symbol that love always finds another purpose. The quiet house that once echoed with loneliness became a place where laughter returned, friendships grew, and healing quietly unfolded one ordinary day at a time. Looking back, I realized I hadn't rescued my neighbor at all. We had rescued each other. Sometimes the greatest miracle isn't found in grand gestures. Sometimes it begins with 4 simple words spoken from the heart. You can stay here. Hi there. Feel free to enter your text here and select a voice to try it out. You can also upload a video or audio file.